America's Mayor Live. And I'm very, very happy to greet all of you for our Friday night show, which is going to be one of the wilder ones because this had to be one of the wilder days. One that, God forbid, if these two communists were to be elected, could lead to the bankruptcy of the United States. And she kind of laid it out. Uh, there's no question that economics is not her strong suit because her presentation didn't even make any sense. I've done numerous budget presentations of America's fourth or fifth or sixth largest budget, and I did it without notes, and I did it without teleprompter, and I did it because I had the damn thing memorized, and because I have the kind of brain that can understand it. I'm not a person who failed the bar exam like Dodo Kamala. Well, she displayed the fact that she failed the bar exam in any economics course that was ever given, if one was ever given. I mean, this is the person who was the key vote on one of the things that has us in the position we're in right now, which was Biden's massive pro-inflation bill of a year and a half ago that put us into a spiral. The idea that he's bringing inflation down is an Orwellian joke. He brought it all the way up. He's bringing it down from where he brought it up. But let's put that all aside because that's like Kamala saying, Russia's a large country and Ukraine's a small country, or some of the other stupid things she cackles out, or Dodo Bird, her friend there, laughs like a goof. Goof? Don't get angry at me. His student called him Goofy. I'm just borrowing a name that he was given years ago by his students when he was the head of the gay club, called Goofy. Now, when you watch him laugh, you can say the kid has something there. He does look like Goofy when he laughs. Tragically, he acts like Goofy when his city is under attack and he gets people killed. And he sure as hell acts like Goofy when he's called to go into action and he runs away and hides and forgets to even sign his departure papers. He acts like Goofy when he allows people to lie about his having been a head coach. He wasn't. He was a defensive coach. He wasn't a head coach. He acts like Goofy when he says things like, one man's socialism is another man's neighborliness. This from a guy that's been in the worst example of socialism in the history of the world 30 times, that has murdered more people than Hitler by 5 times. This guy knows China. And he says these propaganda type things. I don't know. Am I so far off if I say he isn't a plant? Am I so far off if I say he isn't a person that's trying to infiltrate our schools and makes our kids into Marxists? When he's made 30 trips to China with multiple trips bringing kids there and telling them crap like it's neighborliness, or telling him it was the best the best trip he ever had. Sorry, I want you to look at this face. He won't be at the convention, thank God. Can you come in close and look at this face? He was a delegate to the Democrat convention. He's also one of the criminals. I'd like to find out how many of these guys there are. This guy has been arrested numerous times. One time he was involved in an attack on a police officer who still is brain damaged. Of course, he's out of jail, and he was elected an alternate delegate. He dropped out. Property damage on the 10th anniversary of Michael Brown's shooting. Who the heck knows? He got arrested during the demonstrations over the death of that George Floyd guy who died of drug overdose. In 2018, he used a bike lock to chain his head to a revolving door at then Senator Roy Blunt's office in protest of Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh's nomination. What do you think? Maybe he did a little brain damage when he put his thing in the head? Looks like. What do you think? This is the kind of person they make a delegate to the Democrat convention. This guy has already voted for Biden for Dopester. This is what they're going to be dealing with. Police released footage showing that Rose was rattling the gate, protecting the building, and then they charged into police officer Travis Brown, slamming his head violently to the ground and leaving him with continuing severe brain injury. I mean, they shouldn't be at a Democratic. You know where he should be. Should be the same place Biden should be. I just pick one Democrat delegate. We're going to pick lots of them. I wonder how many of them are criminals. I wonder. Her budget today, I don't know, crazy, insane, another 1.7 billion, maybe. More than half the country independency. Like a good argument can be made. You don't have to work. Who's going to work for you? The suckers? Us? The suckers? The ones that are leaving New York and Minnesota and Los Angeles, and because we don't want to be in a society where more than half the people don't work and the other half pay for them. We just don't think that's a healthy place for our children to grow up. We want our children to grow up with a work ethic, not the dependency ethic. And she wants to give them the dependency ethic. Whatever happened to... Is she talking now, Ted? I'm looking at her talk. She looks so stupid.
It's B-roll. I have it on silent while you talk about it.
Ted, I don't know. It's probably my horrible...
No.
She looks stupid when she talks.
Oh, you should hear what she says.
I haven't even seen what she says. But two of my political advisors always said, you should look at a person talking and not listen to the words and see how they look. She looks stupid. Now, can we hear what she's saying?
Yeah. Put that in your ear. Let's play a few clips from Kamala's speech today. We'll have you react to each one.
Come a long way since President Biden and I took office.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, we're in two wars that we're supporting without any end in sight. With the reduction that you've done in inflation, inflation's 30% higher than when Trump was in office.
Well, she's going to remind you of something here, Mayor, about inflation.
Okay.
Cost 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. Many of the...
She's outing her and Joe Biden. She just said a loaf of bread costs 50% more than it did 4 years ago. That's what she said. How do you explain? Is this reverse psychology? Is she trying to...
No, you're now seeing why she failed the bargain.
Yeah.
She's what you call stupid. and she got where she is. Well, we know how she became vice president. The president limited it to women, half of us, and black women, about 10% of us. And then he happened to pick a dumb one. But he didn't pick her because he didn't say, I'm going to pick the smartest person in America as a Democrat to be vice president. Not even close. He put up criteria that have nothing to do with smartness. Being white, black, pink, or green has nothing to do with smartness. Being man or woman has nothing to do with smartness. Has nothing to do with being qualified to be president or vice president either. It has to do with being a human being. You can be a dumb woman or a smart woman. You can be a brave woman or a cowardly woman. You can be a communist woman, or you can be a very religious, very ethical woman. You can be a whore. You can be a nun. Being a woman has absolutely nothing to do with the qualifications for anything other than to have babies. I think. Used to be that way. But being a man has no qualifications for anything other than producing a baby with sperm.
Well, the Democrat Party disagrees with you, Mayor. They feel that your gender and things that you cannot control that you were born with, those are to be weighed and factored when making these sorts of decisions on who to lead the country, who should operate on your heart, should you have issues, should I have issues, your eye doctor, all these things. It matters where on this earth they were born and their skin color. It's very important that we know their skin color.
What does black or female
Take her off
have to do with your qualifications for being vice president? Zero. Being black doesn't make you better or less qualified for being vice president. And being female doesn't make you better or worse. Now, if we pick a job like firefighter, being black would be neutral, as white would, and being female would be a negative because you're not strong enough. Or maybe Secret Service if you're not tall enough and you can get Trump killed. Or that may be the reason you want to be picked.
Right.
But I mean, this is a sickness that has happened here to American logic. The minute the demented president said, I'm going to select a woman only to be my president, a vice president, he should have been thrown out by the Democratic Party as making a pick. It's against the national security of the United States because you're surely going to limit your possibilities. And you're not going to be looking for the right thing, which is who's best qualified. And then when you limit it to a female of only one color, you've destroyed any ability to look for talent. Your whole focus has been thrown off. So you end up with a dodo like this who can't put two sentences together. I mean, we could play 2 hours of her acting like a halfwit, and she still acts like a halfwit. And then she selects a communist she couldn't have done well, maybe she did do it. Maybe she did do a vetting on him. See, I doubt it. I don't think they don't think they vet anybody. But it doesn't bother her that he went to China 30 times.
And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. But
so there's a real idiot. I mean, all you got to do is look at that and say to yourself, the first time you look at that, you'd say to yourself, well, maybe the poor bastard didn't go to China, doesn't know. Well, he did. He went 30 times. And he keeps saying it. Is he goofy and stupid? Like, let me see, can I find the article here? I don't want to keep calling him goofy because I didn't come up with that word for him. He came up with the word weird for my good friend Trump, but I didn't come up with the word goofy for him.
We'll get it on here, Mayor.
I think his student came up with the word goofy years ago when he was
We got it up on the screen.
when he was lying about being the head coach, when in fact he was the defensive coordinator, and he was the head and organizer of the Gay Society. And it was the
Gay
people in
Straight
the
Alliance.
it was the people in the Gay Society or the football team who described him as goofy. There he is. The Walz Gay, oh, was it gay? The Walz Gay Straight Alliance students, that was founded by him, by the way, remembered him as accepting, fine, we'll take that, and goofy. Now look at the picture of him. Does he look goofy? I would say yes. He definitely looks goofy.
With everything going on in the world, Mayor, that's what we need right now. A vice president who is described.
Exactly what we need. A guy who is a major advocate of socialism. Exactly what we need. With Maduro killing people as a socialist in Venezuela, with Russia putting possible warheads in communist Cuba, with China having a navy larger than ours now and threatening to overthrow us, with war without end in Israel, not allowing Israel to win the war because Comrade Walz and stupid Kamala are in favor of war without end there and love Hamas and adore Iran. I haven't heard him say a bad thing about Iran at all. I mean, Walz's major concern is defunding the police, making sure that we have DEI all over the place, and having a capital of mutilation surgery, a safety zone where minor children can go and be mutilated against the wishes of their parents. I did not make that up. That's the law in Comrade Walz's state, accepted by cackling Kamala. And they're the very happy candidates. They laugh like, she cackles and he laughs like a goofball, according to his students. I guess every time there's a mutilation, he's accomplished his purpose, particularly if the parents didn't agree, because it would have satisfied his mentor, Karl Marx, that the children are property of the state. Did you ever hear that before? Property of the state. Of course, if do you want to listen to the you got
No, it's just B-roll.
That's B-roll of the goofballs?
Yeah, so I just put it on sometimes while you're talking, so kind of enhances the.
We got any brilliant statements from him?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Bill Clinton was going to end welfare as we know it. She's returned it, and it's now much worse. It's welfare for everyone.
Right.
Please don't work. We'd rather you didn't. It gets in the way of things. This way we can control you. And what we really like to do is to have electronic control over all your money. So that, those stupid people who work, we can just take their money and give it to you. They vote Republican anyway. So we're just going to screw. I mean, we put them in jail. We try to bankrupt them. Look what we did to Trump. Look what we did to Giuliani. Look what we did to Navarro. Look what we did to Bannon. We're going to do it to all of them. We're just going to destroy those bastards. Yeah. They believe in things like freedom of speech. They actually believe in religion. How stupid. Well, believe in God. Karl Marx has explained to us we all can be God. We're better than God.
Carl.
I mean, that's why that I'd love to hear Walz's views on religion, given the fact that his happiest time was his vacation in China. He looks like a guy that would have a happy time in China, doesn't he? You know the only way you can have a happy time in China? If you're a communist. People who aren't communists in China are treated like garbage. The permanent ones are treated like serfs. The visitors are treated like I was. Horrible. Because I told them what they could do, which is to get rid of communism.
Well, are you able to talk about that trip to China? And you mentioned Taiwan.
Oh, sure, I can talk about it. I
It
had
was a
meeting-
private sector meeting, right?
I had a meeting with a head of, or I don't remember if it was the head of or a top representative of the Chinese party of Beijing. And I had an interpreter. He had an interpreter. and we were talking about security and about the heavy crime that it was happening in Taiwan. And he was actually blaming it on the people coming out of the countryside. Basically, if I recall correctly, he was saying that in the old days, you know, the days when Mao would just wipe you out for the hell of it, right? The Chinese were not allowed to travel at all. It really was only recently that they were allowed to travel from province to province. And he was very much upset about that because he said all the criminals in Beijing do not come from Beijing. They come from the outer provinces. He didn't specify which ones, but or if he did, I don't recall the names that he gave. But he did make reference to a map, and he kind of pointed to the rest of China, like almost sounded like the kind of excuse that local incompetent mayors give to crime in their area, saying it's the outside agitators or the whatever that did it. But he was basically saying the citizens of Beijing are good, solid people. It's all these animals that come from the provinces that are now allowed to travel all around China that have created the major crime problem here, and they have to get used to policing them. So that was a fine. So I kind of gave him ideas on how you would police them and how maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea if you did some policing in those areas too, so that they didn't come there in quite the condition that they're in. We didn't get onto human rights or anything until the following. He asked me to tell President Bush, because he knew that I was a friend of his, that he should lay off China on Taiwan, because Taiwan belongs to China, and some other kind of stuff about it, and that China and that Taiwan should be part of China. And I decided to be open with him, and I said, well, you know, I think that'd be really, really hard. You know, Taiwan fought to become a democracy itself. It wasn't born a democracy. And now that they're a democracy and they have human rights protections, and they have a constitution similar to ours that protects human rights. That is before Biden and Obama took over, when we did have a constitution like that. Wouldn't be able to say that now. Certainly not me, because they violated all my constitutional rights, the Democrats. But I said, you know, maybe if you didn't offer them the prospect of dictatorship, you know, the example that you gave with Hong Kong is hardly going to make it easier to convince Taiwan to be part of one China. I mean, if anything, you've driven them much further away. So I'm looking at the guy, and he's kind of agreeing with me. And I'm thinking, wow, I made some real progress here. So I stop, and he begins talking nicely. And my interpreter leans over to me and says, Mayor, his interpreter did not interpret that correctly for him. I said, well, he sort of gave it the opposite meaning. I thought, I don't know what the opposite meaning could be. And the guy sees us interrupt. I said, well, wait a second. And nobody supposedly interrupts this guy. Well, except me. What do I give a shit? I don't belong to him. Tim Walz may belong to him. And Joe Biden belongs to him for all the money they gave him. but Red China doesn't have any peace with me. And I said, well, I want you to interpret what I said. He said, I don't think we should do that. I mean, it could be very dangerous. And I said, I don't give a goddamn. I said, I'll repeat it again. Well, first of all, let me make it clear. I wanted to stop the guy immediately. I said to him, and he understood this. I said, what your man interpreted is completely opposite of what I said. He understood that.
I love that.
He understood it. The commie bastard understood it. He said, and then I said, interpret it now. And I had a second guy with me who was part of our delegation. And I told him the problem. And I said, please listen and make sure that he's interpreted it correctly. And I knew immediately he interpreted it correctly because the guy's expression changed. I don't know if he did it exactly correctly, but about 4 or 5 minutes into it, somewhere around the time that I brought up Tiananmen Square and how they tortured people then, he got up very nicely, not angry, got up, said, it was very nice talking to you, Mr. Mayor, and have a very nice trip, and shook my hand and walked right the hell out. That was it. The guy who did the false interpretation ran off. The guy's probably still running. My guy kind of like comes in with us, like, are you going to take me back to America? And I say, come on, I want to talk to you. I wanted to know how accurately he translated me. And Mike Hess, who was with me, wanted to know it. And we never got a good,
Answer that
this way. He obviously he got the main thrust of the message. I don't know if he got the real insults.
Yeah, okay.
Which maybe is better. I might be alive for that reason, not in jail. But in any event, my interpreter, the guy who was like further back, honestly could not hear the whole thing. And he says, I think he did soften it quite a bit. But he did get the message across that you're not going back telling George Bush to recognize Taiwan as part of China, and that you gave them a lecture like we weren't supposed to do on their not being a democracy, which, by the way, Comrade Walz is against. Comrade Walz does not think we should lecture them on their human rights record.
He takes American students to get lectured by them.
To
the
work
Chinese.
after 30 years.
Yeah.
He is definitely.
He wants them lecturing us.
Well, he might. I mean, he's going to really. I mean, he really should team up with Hunter Biden, who was a business partner of the top spy of China. The two of them should team up together. They probably have a lot in common.
A lot in common, but the scary part is Tim might be more of an ideologue while Hunter's just looking for the money.
Don't give me the naive bullshit ideologue shit. None of these guys are ideologues.
No, that's a negative. He's a communist ideologue.
He's not an ideologue. He's not an ideologue. There's no such thing as a Democrat ideologue. They're all a bunch of goddamn crooks.
Well, I meant to use that in a pejorative.
Yeah, well, don't tell me that. They've come after me too much. They've ruined my judicial system too much. And not a single one of them is an ideologue. Ideologues don't tolerate a democratic country being ruined. That piece of crap who wouldn't even serve with his army is an ideologue. Just the opposite of an ideologue. He's an evil piece of shit.
An ideologue is a person who has strong beliefs or opinions and is devoted to a cause. I'm calling him a communist ideologue. It is not meant in any way to be a positive, right? I'm saying that Tim Walz.
What makes you think he's a communist ideologue? There's nothing about him that suggested he's a man of principle. He lies his damn ass off. He's not a man of principle.
He's a communist.
Yeah, and he's a crook. Communists take money. Communists are the richest people in China. The idea that communists are for the people is the biggest bunch of communist bullshit that exists.
I'm using the word wrong then.
You're damn right, you are. You are definitely using the word wrong. There is nothing ideological about communists. Communists use ideology to fool you. Ideology is part of Karl Marx's bag of tricks. It's not reality. There's no question that the minute you embrace communism, you might as well forget ideology. You're not going to be a person of principle. You're not allowed to have principle. There's only one principle that exists: the greater good of communism. You lie, you cheat, you steal, and you can kill for that purpose. So then let's get to the root problem here. How safe is it for Donald Trump for the remainder of this campaign, given the constant revelations that the Secret Service is close to absurd and completely incompetent?
Well,
Were they
yesterday,
attempting to have him killed?
I mean, I don't know how else to interpret what the stories we're seeing, including as recent as Wednesday, when an on-site Secret Service agent, this is reported by Real Clear Politics, an on-site Secret Service agent was caught breastfeeding. First of all, she left her post and was caught breastfeeding in a room that was set aside for emergency purposes. She left her post and didn't alert, her superior that she was leaving the post.
Was she on the Trump detail?
Yes, this was at. I don't know if she was there during Butler, but this was on the Trump detail in North Carolina on Wednesday, reported by Susan Crabtree of Real Clear Politics. During a Donald Trump visit to North Carolina Wednesday, a woman Secret Service special agent abandoned her post to breastfeed with no permission or warning to the event site agent. The site agent went to do a final sweep of the walking route just minutes before President Trump's arrival and found the agent breastfeeding her child in a room that was supposed to be set aside for important Secret Service official work, i.e. a potential emergency related to the president.
Has she been fired?
Let me get an update on this story.
Or we're going to have a 5-year investigation of her?
Yeah, right. The investigation hasn't even started yet. No, the investigation has started. They are investigating.
Is this a normal protocol for the Secret Service that you can breastfeed on the job while you're protecting the president?
No, there's probably ADA rules.
Or is that just Trump?
Probably should be having somebody cover her, but I bet protected. I bet she could protect with class.
But if you're on duty.
Different if you're protecting a person's life.
Yeah. The point isn't whether you're breastfeeding or taking a math test or calling your parents, right? The point is you're on duty protecting the President Trump, who had just come within centimeters of being assassinated weeks earlier. So,
well, isn't this
unacceptable?
But isn't this the stupidity of having women do this job? If you're going to say that breastfeeding protocols will get in the way of protecting your protectee, well, then you can't have a woman.
What you can't have is you can't have anyone who is distracted by whether it's breastfeeding.
Dr. Maria justified it as.
Yeah. You have to. They need to prepare for that.
But why should ADA coverage get in the way of protect?
Of course not.
So then you don't hire people that are ADA covered.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. There are certain rules, and I'm sure as a lawyer, there are certain rules.
Maybe that means that this is the job a woman shouldn't be hired for if you're going to let her go off and breastfeed, or if she's 5'2", or she can't lift a pencil,
yes,
or she can't put a damn a gun in a holster.
I am by no way justifying it because so I don't know the situation.
I don't either. I can't even believe it.
I assume she was on duty. When you're on duty, you can't bring your child to work because you're on protective duty.
In a normal job.
In a normal job. So never mind in a high state. I'm just saying they'll probably come back with something that she's protected somehow. That's all I can think of.
Now I don't want to go through all the things that we found, right?
Unless she had somebody covering for her. If it was a legitimate break and they had another agent covering for her. But I don't know.
How come this?
No.
Doctor.
I whip out my breast and breastfeed my baby all the time.
And I think
I don't even think they wanted to have babies anymore.
I think the point is, I don't know the science behind breastfeeding, but if you're like breastfeeding or potentially need to breastfeed your child,
Is this a ridiculous?
should be on duty that day. Take the 9 months.
Are we having a totally? I just doing this to show that we're having a totally ridiculous conversation.
Absolutely.
And the reason we are is because we have a totally ridiculous administration.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is the product of having a demented president, a mentally inferior, silly, stupid vice president, and now we got a goofy. We got a goofball. We got a goofball for vice president who puts tampons in men's room.
You cannot make this up.
Does he get paid for the tampons like the money that Garland's son-in-law is making on training kids to be whatever the hell they are?
Absurd.
Yeah, I can't talk about him. John Castamatidis says I can't talk about him, but I don't work for John Castamatidis anymore. So you can go shove it. And by the way, the 2020 elections were rigged, John.
Stolen.
They were stolen. And if we can't say these ones were stolen, we can't say the 2020s were stolen. You're helping them steal the 2024 election, which they're on their way to doing.
Bingo. So let's take a quick break and we'll come right back with more of America's Mayor Live on a jam-packed Friday evening from New Hampshire.
And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. Except for the silly, this is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live, and I was saying, except for the silliest, stupidest person, anybody into communism seriously is into it for the money, because the end result of communism is the communists become rich. I mean, it's like a complete, and all you got to do is read Orwell to realize what happens. So everybody gets the same amount of money, right? Theoretically. But for somebody to decide that and enforce that, somebody's got to be put in charge.
Yeah.
There's the rub. The guy put in charge never wants the same amount of money. He got too many responsibilities. The guy in charge then becomes paid and gets a lot more than the people that get the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Now, the people that get the same amount of money are fighting with each other because they do unequal amounts of work for that money. Some do none, like half of them. Some work their tails off. And some do slave labor because they don't want to work at all, and they have to. So they're angry at each other, and they hate each other. And they begin to realize that this system is contrary to human nature. People at the top, however, keep producing the amount of money people get, so they get more, and they become rich, millionaires, and billionaires. Who's the richest man in a communist country? The dictator. Who's the richest man in Venezuela? The communist. The guy for the poor, Maduro. Who's the richest man in China? Xi. Who's the second richest? Is number 2 guy. Now, we're not going to say, because it's hard to describe Russia. Is it communist? Isn't it? What the hell is it? But it is pretty easy to describe as a dictatorship with communist roots. Who's the richest man in Russia? Oh, come on.
Maybe the richest man in the world, they say.
We got to keep.
We got
to keep going through this. I got to keep proving to you that that communism is a complete 180-degree contradiction. It had nothing to do with the poor. He knows that. He knows that. Walz is not some stupid ideologue walking around. He's trying to get rich like all of them. Yeah, he wouldn't be in politics. And he wouldn't be in democratic politics if he were a decent man. A decent man doesn't say things like socialism is a one man social, another man neighborliness. A decent man doesn't say my best honeymoon, my best vacation was in China. No, that's a lying apparatchik. Nor does a decent man and woman select the day of Tiananmen Square as their wedding anniversary, as if that was some kind of a wonderful event, which of course in Chinese propaganda, Chinese propaganda it is. But to normal people, it was a slaughter of innocent people and a reaffirmation of atheistic, diabolical communism over the Chinese people, destroying their entire culture, ending the Cultural Revolution in murder. It cost more Chinese lives than most other incidents in Chinese history. And they have their wedding date, that date, and they want to be the vice president and the, what do you call, the second lady? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The first gentleman's name we realize isn't much of a gentleman, having screwed his nanny. But what the second lady or whatever the hell she is sounds like she's one big communist, and she likes the smell of burning riot smoke. But what are they going to do? Burn things down in Washington for her? So she's happy? I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question about this guy. Look at him. Why don't you take a good look at him?
Oh, Josh.
Get him closer. You think that looks like a tough guy? I don't think so. You think this guy sold out? This guy is Shapiro. This is Shapiro.
I'm zoomed in all the way.
Should I bring it up?
No, I'll put it electronically.
How much do you think this guy stuck to his roots as a Jewish guy? Do you think he sold out completely like Schumer, or? But we don't know. I mean, was he turned down because what? Was he turned down because he said, I'm going to stand up for Israel? Or did he say, you know, I'll do everything but reverse my circumcision because I can't? And still they turned him down. They sure don't like Jews in the Democrat Party, right?
There's a very strong chance that's what happened.
I mean, the leading Jewish member is probably Schumer, and he called for the removal of the head of state of Israel during a time of war. That's about as despicable as you get. But I don't know if the point that I'm getting at is do we look at Shapiro as a man of principle who stood for his principles and got shut out because he was Jewish, or did he try everything he could do, like Schumer does, to sell out being Jewish and get rejected anyway? That'll make a difference actually for future office, because I don't think, God willing, that that Comrade Walz and Cackling Camel will make it. So this guy will be a candidate next time. So the history of how much he sold out or not is going to be very important, isn't it? I mean, we know Schumer has given up. Well, the conscience was gone a long time ago. Whatever he's got, he's given up. So I wonder how far this guy went. I'd like to know because he is going to be a candidate.
And some say Kamala didn't like him because he came to the meeting with a bunch of demands on things he wanted to do as VP. But that could be a fake leak from his people, right? After she went with somebody else, there could be reason for his people to say something like that, right? Oh, we just weren't chosen because, we wanted,
Rather than saying because he was a Jew.
Yes, yeah. So who knows the real reason
pretty much
when you're dealing with a bunch of scumbag liars?
I mean, we're pretty good at this. And I mean, I can read those liars really well. I grew up with them, right?
Yeah.
And I had to negotiate with them and work with them. I figured he was dead as a Jew from the very beginning. The Democratic Party hates Jewish people now. Even the really dedicated Jews within the Democrat Party hate Jews.
Yeah.
Because they're annoying. They're causing them trouble.
I hate to say it. Part of the reason there's look, a lot of the low information Democrat voters often will look at a situation, look at the white side, and consider them the oppressors, and anyone with darker skin pigments automatically the victims, right? So that's what they see when they see Israel and Palestine. And so one reason you're seeing this is the Jew. It's absurd, but it really boils down to that. And so hopefully, Mayor, more and more Jewish Americans will come over to the Republican Party like they did in the 90s in New York City.
Well, I hope that's true. So Kamala will now pay you not to work. A recent study confirms that universal basic income, no strings attached benefit checks offered to recipients regardless of need or contribution to the program discourages work. Well, that would make sense. That's relevant to the presidential race. Kamala Harris has called more than once for paying UBI-like benefits. Participants in the UBI program work nearly 1.5 hours less a week on average, and unemployment rose. Other adults in recipient households reduced their work effort too. Overall, the study found for every dollar in benefits, total household income, excluding the transfers, fell by at least 21 cents. As vice president, Ms. Harris cast the deciding vote to create a temporary UBI for parents through a significantly expanded child tax credit in 2021. Tens of thousands of households collected these payments, which grew to as much as $3,600 a child, even as the program work requirement and work incentive features were suspended. So Kamala Harris program will pay you enormous amounts of money, it turns out, across the entire society in order not to work. Complete opposite of what I did and what Bill Clinton did, which is pay you nothing for not working and making you work. What the hell's wrong with that? Isn't that the only way you build the work ethic into people? You really do want to produce a generation of communists, don't you? Pamela, in your case, are you just too arrogant, just too stupid, or are you a communist? I don't know. Walz is a communist. I'm sorry. You don't go 30 times to China. You don't say all that bullshit about China. That's complete propaganda. You don't send kids to China if you're not a communist. And you don't buy into this garbage if you're not a communist. You, I can't tell. You really are. I mean, please, I know, do the racism thing and all. You are really stupid. This is very hard to deal with a person as ignorant as you are for president. I mean, even that statement, you never went to Europe. How are we going to deal with foreign policy? You've never been in Europe. Okay, now you've gone a couple of times as vice president. You know they think you're a dodo. You know that. I mean, they're not fooled. The American press isn't fooled either. They know you're a freaking idiot. All they have to do is listen to you, and they make fun of you behind your back because you're not up to the job. You weren't picked because you're up to the job. Picked because of the color of your skin and your sex. Only reason. And your qualifications nothing to do with it. You were a shitty DA. You were a terrible attorney general. And you got your first couple of jobs, everybody knew why.
Shift over a little.
I mean, it's not even teeny bit hidden. So nobody got any respect for you.
Mayor, it's my understanding that she was considered just inept at her job as a DA, and in order to try and cook the books or pad her stats,
She put a bunch of small little people in prison.
low level, small little,
Mostly black people.
yeah,
That's
mostly
that's
black
what
women.
that's what Tulsi Gabbard skewered her with, killed her, dropped her out immediately. She was a completely dishonorable district attorney, putting her own people in jail for nothing, in order to make up for the terrible criminals that she let out.
Yeah, and so that has to be that needs to be a line that we're constantly using from now until election day. Correct?
Yes. Did you explain this before? I know I did on the other show. New York City is spending more money per year
Talk about it.
on the illegals than they do on the entire police department.
We haven't talked about it this show. We mentioned it last show.
In 25 months from July, the New York City spent $5 billion for migrant costs.
Yes.
It's going to double this year. That we spend less than $5 billion on the police department every year. We spend more on the people who come here to rape us than we do on our police. And this is a significantly much more criminal group of people than any group of immigrants we've ever let in. And let me see if somehow, and our lying, stupid mayor doesn't explain this. When you've been invited to come in as of 4 years ago to swarm the border, and they've cut the vetting down to 4 questions for people from China. I don't know how many from others, not much more significant. When they've let in incredible numbers of terrorists and not known that they've let in terrorists. As that accumulates and that gets known quickly throughout the world, more and more criminals come in. Otherwise, we wouldn't have criminals. They're sitting there. And why do you think it is spread out more across the world than just limited to, Mexico and a few other countries? Because all over the world, the criminal groups have said, oh, we can just get in. This is, without any doubt, the most pro-criminal group of immigrants we've ever had. And there's no way of knowing because we have no control over them. We don't vet them. We honestly do not vet them. We don't know who came in. And we don't even know how many came in. We know the numbers that were stopped. We know a lot of them are criminals. We know the gotaways. We suspect they're criminals. That all adds up to 10, 12 million. But we don't know the people we never saw. I'm not going to tell you what they used to be estimated to be. At least equal the number of the people we did see. That could mean we have 20 million people here. I'm hoping it's not that. But even if it's 12 or 15. But the big lie is, well, these people are less criminal than the Americans we have here. And I'm telling you, there was some validity to that. When there was vetting at the border, criminals were turned back. Criminals were put in detention. Now they're released, and sometimes they're not even, many times they're not even discovered as criminals. And when they are, they're released. And then when they're caught in the sanctuary cities, the sanctuary city communists or dopes interpret the law as they can't turn them in, when the fact the law is just the opposite. They have an obligation to turn them in because federal law predominates. Now, they fight that. They fight for that argument when it helps them let criminal aliens in, such as federal law predominates over Abbott trying to stop them from coming into Texas. But when a state law says you can't turn over a criminal to ICE, and federal law says you must, then they say state law predominant. Do you realize that there's Walz's picture? Do you realize what a damn liar he is? He really isn't that stupid because he's a communist. That is an anti-American communist interpretation. Federal law predominates in order to allow illegals in, but it doesn't predominate to throw illegals out. End result is the practical result that's best for communism, which is America awash with illegals and criminals so that its democracy is overturned and we become part of the beautiful Karl Schwab one world, which will be controlled by Xi Jinping, close friend of Tim Walz, and the major financial backer of President Biden. Got the picture?
Well, Mayor, that's right. And just going back to tying this all together, in New York State, just yesterday, a man, I believe, 38 years old, Gianfranco Torres Navarro, who is the leader of a gang known as the Los Killers. Can't imagine that's a friendly gang. The Los Killers. This man is wanted for 23 killings in his home country of Peru. And he was arrested in Endicott, New York, about 145 miles northwest of New York City by ICE Thursday. He's being held at a federal detention facility near Buffalo pending an immigration hearing. Navarro entered the U.S. illegally at the Texas-Mexico border on May 16th.
Of when?
May 16th of this year. He was arrested the same day and given a note.
Where in Texas?
The Texas-Mexico border. I'll look for the specific spot. He was arrested the same day and given a notice. Here we go. He was given a notice to appear for an immigration proceedings. Gee.
When?
Yeah, I'll try to get the date. But
I bet
yeah.
3 years from now.
I wonder if a guy wanted for 23 murders is going to show up for his hearing.
What was he wanted for?
23 murders.
Wait, now, go slower.
Sorry.
When he came in, we knew he was wanted for 20 murders.
I mean, who knows, right? But I don't believe so. He was he entered the U.S. illegally at the Texas-Mexico border on May 16th. He was arrested the same day and given notice to appear for immigration proceedings. This is according to ICE. U.S. authorities moved to arrest Torres Navarro. Okay, here we go. After receiving information on July 8th that he was wanted in Peru. So May 16th, he's caught at the border. They don't know his past. And so he's given a notice to appear. Now we want to find out when that notice to appear was scheduled for.
And when Peru notifies him on July 8th.
July 8th, U.S. authorities moved to arrest him.
What did he get? What did they get notified of?
After receiving information that he was wanted in Peru. I may be for the 23 murders, but I haven't read that yet. But they know he was wanted.
But now he's lost in America already.
No, we've got him. So he's been arrested yesterday, Thursday.
On July 8th, he was lost in America.
Yes. From July 8th until yesterday, this guy was roaming around New York State.
We know what he did?
In New York State and everywhere in between.
Do we know what he did?
23 murders.
When?
He's wanted for 23.
I know. What did he do in the U.S.?
Oh, why was he? Let's see. It doesn't say what he did to get arrested yesterday. I'm guessing U.S. authorities were attempting to locate him since July 8th, but I'm not sure if there was an intervening issue. Colonel Franco Moreno, head of Peru's High Complexity Crime Investigations Division, told the Associated Press Thursday that they tracked phone calls, geolocations, and messages from Torres Navarro and his gang of at least 10 members. Peru confirmed to the AP that it had ordered the location and international capture of Torres Navarro on July 3rd. The immigration... Let's see. Here we go. So
we got a picture of him?
I have a picture that we've been putting up on the screen here. Yep. This is our man, 38 years old. You see him?
No.
All right, I'll make it bigger, but
There he is in the back of the car.
back of the car.
23 killings?
What? He's wanted for, again, he's wanted for 23 murders. You can't make this up.
So I'm going to have to assume, right?
Ye-
Because it doesn't spell it out, but I'm sure this is absolutely right. Here's the problem with this, and here's how this would have been dealt with, let's say in the Reagan administration. I'm going to say in the Trump administration, possibly even Obama, with because he didn't have numbers anywhere near like Obama. A guy like this, 23 murders,
It's insane.
who comes in, I'm sorry, you picked this guy out right away. This guy's not going to get past. But in any event, he comes in. He's got to assert asylum because he has no right to come in.
Yeah.
So you let him assert asylum. From Peru, you realize his asylum claim is 99% invalid.
Yeah, of course.
And 99% is
Yeah, of
invalid.
course. Yeah.
It's a false recitation that's actually written down for them by the people that pay. And anyway, he's not entitled to get in as a result of that. He's entitled to a hearing. So you put him in a detention facility, you lock him up, and give him a hearing in the next 2 weeks. And then you give him a hearing when his records show up. And instead of his walking around free between May and July, May to June, for 2 months, you hold him in a detention facility. That's how you protect the United States.
Yeah.
Now, the January 6 people who haven't committed 23 murders have been held for 2 years without bail. Why does a guy who comes in illegally, who freaking looks like a murderer?
It's public.
I'm sorry.
3 years ago.
This isn't like you presumed innocent. There are no rights involved here. The guy has no right to come into the United States. He's using an international law called asylum. Asylum gives him a right to assert that he's got to be taken by the United States because there's a realistic fear that he's going to be politically persecuted back in Peru. That is not a particularly valid claim in Peru. Even in countries like Venezuela, where it is a more valid claim, it turns out to be true in about 5% of the cases.
Yeah, of course.
So now you're gonna find out that this is probably true in about 1% of the cases. Now, why would we let a guy out on bail when there's a 99% chance that he's not entitled to the relief that he's seeking?
Yeah.
Only because we want the maximum number of illegals here so we can screw up the election system, and the maximum number of criminals here so we can render the country into chaos and make it communist.
And can I add a point to that, Mayor?
Oh, yeah, sure you can, of course.
So as the mayor said, and it's not that these illegals then come in and we need them to actually be the ones to physically vote. What they need are the names somewhere, right? They need the names for the register. So people need, let's be very clear. It's not that these people are actually voting. Yeah.
They make up a
Yes.
50 registration.
Yes.
They may have this guy in 5 states.
Yeah. He's probably a voter. He's probably a 3-time voter in Maryland.
When you eventually ever get a chance to go through it, but of course, then you just destroy the paper like they did in Georgia, where 325,000 ballots are gone under Crooked Kemp.
We have to do a full episode on this. We have to do something soon, Mayor, an update, because we have to talk about Detroit. You and I both know that very well. We have to give an update on Georgia. I still get stressed out because
when did he come in? Give me the date he came in again. I may have the date he was supposed to appear.
May 16th.
May 16th. You're right. Okay.
May 16th is when he crossed the border.
And May 16th is when he had his hearing. Or is it arraignment?
Yes. May 16th was arrested the same day he crossed and given a notice to appear. We're trying to find out when that. No, I'd love to know the date.
so
And there's
May
a reason that date's not in here.
May 16, he was given a notice to
May
appear.
16th, he crosses the border and is also arrested. So the same day he crosses, he is arrested. And by the way, at this time back in Peru, he is known as a killer, right?
But they
This
don't-
guy is in the
Yeah,
public
yeah,
as
yeah,
a killer.
yeah. But they don't get the information to us.
July 8th, U.S. authorities moved to make the arrest.
No, but
of
when
him on
when does
July-
Peru get the information to us that he's a 23-time alleged killer or killer?
So on July 3rd, Peru's justice system ordered the location and international capture of the man. So I don't think that's necessarily directed just to the U.S. Whatever the international, system is.
Earliest date that
July 3rd,
you would find out that he's wanted,
Yeah.
presumably.
the U.S. would. July 3rd. And then July 8th is when the U.S. says they moved to, so they must have found out July 8th. I mean, I hope they didn't find out July 3rd and then didn't do anything for 5 days.
But I mean, the reality is, you only would have had to hold him for less than 2 months to get the information from Peru. Why don't you put the guy in prison and say we're going to communicate with Peru, and we'll decide what we do with you in prison once we find out what Peru has to say, in order to protect the people of the United States. I mean, what kind of a stupid application of the law is that? That's a Biden-Harris, Comrade Walz interpretation of the law. Under Trump, under Jay Johnson, who used to do this for Obama, and under Bush and Reagan and Clinton, this guy is a definite hold. There's a hold. Otherwise, what they've done is they've applied catch and release to him, which is a jerk. You catch him, people come in illegally, and nowadays people don't come in illegally to work.
Thank you. They keep playing this dance like it's like 1880s again.
Nobody's
It's like
coming
the
in.
1880s again, and we're coming over.
Even in the 1990s, they came into work. They're not coming into work. Adams set up a work program, and 3% showed up.
Oh, I gotta find that. That's something.
They work. He gives them money. This jackass who now gets subpoenaed gives them debit cards.
They stay at 4-star hotels in Midtown.
People just show up in New York and ask for their debit card.
I'm just gonna I'll shave my head. I can't look like I'm
so-
Central American. I'll show up and
Last
get my money.
fiscal year, the illegals cost more money than the entire police department. It costs us more money to make our illegals happy than to protect the people of New York City. Don't you think you should be thrown out of office for that?
Do you think now with these indictments and we know the political nature sometimes of these
No,
things,
I don't think so.
will this impact his
No, I don't
chances
think
for
so.
reelection?
No, I
That's
don't
a
think
damn
so.
shame.
No, I think the brainwashing is even watching how I think Trump is still going to win, but even watching how they're turning some of the things here, some of the polls and all, I see this deep Democrat sickness that inheres in our soul. They've done a great job. The communists have done a great job of brainwashing us and know how to call upon it. They use racism. They use sexism. They use all kinds of guilt. They use the deterioration of our education. It's been too easy to make Kamala
Sad.
competitive in a race in which, I mean, she's a complete clown.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't look at her talking without realizing, I mean, if she were a student in my class, I would have to overcome the bias that she's too stupid to be in law school.
Do you have this? Yeah. Let's see if we can get our Kamala clip.
I would tell her to, go get her money back, her tuition money back.
Here we go. Here is Kamala on the housing market.
What home ownership means. It's more than a financial transaction. It's so much more than that. It's more than a house. Home ownership and what that means, it's a symbol of the pride that comes with hard work. It's financial security. It represents what you will be able to do for your children. And sadly, right now, it is out of reach for far too many American families. There's a serious housing shortage. In many places, it's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. Housing market.
Wow, what did that? Is she running against Biden?
Right?
Hasn't she been in office for the last 3.5 years? Sounds like she's running against Biden.
Yeah.
Crazy. Dr. Maria, you gotta hear this. There's a big housing shortage. It's getting worse. Some people can't get a home. Jackass.
Well, they try to distance herself.
Well, she really is distancing herself.
I think they might have Joe speak at convention Sunday before it even opens.
Should be allowed to defend himself. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
I do better against her in a debate. Look at the way she folded under
Tulsi.
Tulsi.
Oh.
Doing to Tulsi. Are they torturing her? Are they threatening her?
Of course. Of course. She's not,
She needs protection now.
as a if you were ever a Democrat, like is she still a Democrat or no?
I
But
think she's an independent now.
but as a
I think, but I mean, I haven't gotten the whole story. I'm going to have to dig into it over the weekend. But she's like threatened. And
They're following her. But she didn't no, I'm kidding. Obviously she did, but I don't think she understood. As a Democrat, you don't get to think independently. You don't get to go on TV and just say what you feel or think. As a Democrat, you take your.
Why are they following her, Ted?
Because she broke the golden rule as a card-carrying Democrat. You don't speak out of line. You don't speak your mind. You don't tell people the truth. You follow what you're told to say.
So what's the point? Is to punish her?
Yes,
to threaten other Democrats.
to take
like they do with me.
Yeah, really did. Yeah,
Similar kind of thing than what they do to me.
yes. Try and take down her character, make it untenable for others to. Yeah,
Let's put Tulsi on. Sounds
100%.
Sounds like we're in the same boat. So I want to conclude with an analysis, the very, very serious one, and one that people can think of over the weekend. And it really is very, very serious. And if you want to accuse me of being a conspiracy theorist, go ahead. I believe that Donald J. Trump is under grave danger right now. And I believe that the information that Bernie Kerik came to me with, not so much information as speculation a year and a half ago, that these people had done everything they can to prevent him from being president, except one thing, which is kill him, is a heck of a proposition that cannot be ignored. When you do the kinds of things that they did, you're capable of murder. When you pay money to foreign organized criminals to make up false criminal charges on someone, like Russian collusion, when you use a false whistleblower to come forward with a completely fictional story of foreign bribery based on your own bribery, when you cover up your own bribery, when you engage in probably the most massive censorship in the history of this country, at the height of a presidential campaign, which is to cover up a computer and hard drive that contain unassailable evidence of hundreds of crimes at the highest levels of both governments that affect the national security of the United States with regard to not only Ukraine, but China and Russia. And you're willing to cover that up. When you exaggerate to the point of criminality, January 6th, and put people in jail as if it were the Japanese internment, and you completely criminalized the criminal justice system and turned the District of Columbia circuit into something more akin to an East German court. when you cheat on the 2024 election and then try to torture people who are just merely raising the allegations that come from thousands and thousands of people. When you're capable of doing all that, when you indict your opponent 4 times in an election year and try to time it so that they all happen in that election year, which is unheard of. Nobody ever gets indicted and tried 4 times in an election year or any year.
Yeah.
When you
Not Russia.
when you do what happens in when you do exactly what Maduro is doing in Argentina, except you're slightly less successful because he was willing to kill, and so far you haven't. Are people like that capable of killing? Are people who do that? Are people who try to overthrow their government? Are people who bribe foreign officials? Are people who make millions and millions by selling out their oath of office? Are they capable of the crime of murder in order to protect their power and to avoid prosecution? Bernie Carrick says to me, Mayor, you're being stupid. You better warn them, which I do. Then they attempt to kill him. And every single thing that I see looks like they were making it appear as if they wanted him dead. The things that the Secret Service did could only be done by complete Keystone Cop buffoons in a comedy that would be more akin to a cartoon than real policemen. You're warned about a building, you do nothing about it. The building is so obvious that a child would say, you got to protect that building. The first explanation you give for not protecting it is a flat out lie that you can't walk on the building. I mean, all sorts of people are walking on a building. You'll even see it. You get a warning that there's a very serious live threat against this president from Iran a few days earlier. And gosh almighty, if you increased his security, what the hell was the security like before that? Since you have agents around them that aren't tall enough to guard them, your agents don't meet with the local police to organize his security at this event. The agents you have with him don't seem to be able to cover him properly. They let him emerge with his face showing immediately. That's even before he struggles to put his face up. They put his face up, kind of the way they put up Ashley Babbitt to be killed. You have females around him who are completely incompetent to carry out their role. They can't holster the gun, they can't unholster the gun, and they can't stand up high enough to protect him. When you finally do secure him, and you get his head hidden and in the proper jacket it's supposed to be in, you let him push it up again. Is he that strong? I mean, we know he's in great physical condition, but you got 5 or 6 Secret Service agents on him. What are they, all a bunch of weaklings? And by the way, when you look at his head being up there, they don't seem to be doing anything about it. One guy looks like he's posing for Esquire magazine. And then the walk from there to the car is complete chaos, with people saying, like, which way do we go? What do we do? Not being able to put their gun away, not being able to get their gun out. And then once again, letting him expose himself, just in case there's anybody around to shoot and kill him. Now, how often have you done that in the past? Is this another Epstein? Let's put him in a position where he gets himself killed. We're not going to kill him, but we're going to look for opportunities where we know there are threats, and we're going to reduce the security and make it easy to kill him. After all, they are in control of the threats. They got a hell of a computer that tells you where the threats are. They can tell you immediately which places are more dangerous than others. Did they know about this guy? The guy was there a number of times beforehand. We don't know if they know or not, but do we trust the FBI to investigate?
Oh, no, I'll say it. I don't.
Why would we trust the FBI to investigate it? Why would we trust Ray to investigate it? Ray sat on the hard drive when it would have completely exonerated the president. It would completely have changed the result of the last election and spared us a massive criminal as president and the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, including in Ukraine. He just sat on it, received no punishment for it. It should be a crime to hide evidence like that. And now we still have 80 plus days to go. And the security seems to be no better. Now you can take time off to breastfeed your baby.
So the Secret Service just a couple days ago, and I believe they worked this out with the Trump campaign, is saying he can do outdoor rallies again with bulletproof glass.
Now, the president is being extraordinarily generous in his comments about him. I don't know if that's tactical or real. And I'm not particularly persuaded by them. Because, first of all, Donald Trump, I love you, but I don't think you know a damn thing about security at all. You certainly don't know what I know about security and all the people that advise me. And
you're the number one security consulting firm in the world.
Brave for you to put your hand up like that. It was extraordinarily stupid for them to let you do that. But you don't even realize they did that to you before you did it. I would give him half a pass for your pushing your way through and doing that. And I understand why you did it. Every other president would have done it. I probably would have done the same thing. I do not understand when they brought you up, why the first thing I see is your face. They're in complete control. That's almost as if there's a deal to do that. Just like there was a deal to kill Ashley Babbitt. Now, we don't solve one of these things, and we don't hold somebody accountable for one of these things. Somebody's going to get something really horribly serious is going to happen in this country. And if you think they stopped going after him, you're wrong. There's a sickness here. It's the corruption of this country. It's deep. It has a lot to do with Ukraine. The war we have going on without end has a lot to do with Ukraine, and there's a lot of money involved in it. I'm not talking about hundreds of millions now. That was Iran. We're talking about billions now. We're talking about life-changing amounts of money for crooked people. Few people dead that they don't like anyway. Doesn't mean very much, huh? Doesn't seem as if it's gotten any better. Not if the Secret Service has a woman taking time off to breastfeed her child while she's supposed to be protecting you. Who the hell's going to speak up about this? Congress seems to be awfully quiet about it. I mean, these people really want you dead? Don't just, I'm sorry, just don't push it aside. I don't know if it's true or not that they want you dead. But I do think that should be the operating hypothesis if we want to play it safe. I want you dead because you're my friend. I don't want you dead because I'm a human being. And I don't want you dead because I think you're the only person who can save America. They want you dead because they think you're the only person that can save America. And they know you're the only one that probably has the balls to reveal it all. And they know what's going to happen to them when you reveal it all. That's called a motive to commit homicide. And you know, I'm a big believer in generally the person who did it is the person with the biggest motive. Well, the person who had the biggest motive is now resigned. There's a second one now. And her friend, Tampon, what's his name?
Her friend.
The cackler and the goof.
The goof. They call him a goof.
His student calls him the goof. Not J.D. Vance.
Haven't you failed
Not
as a
me.
teacher? Haven't you failed as a teacher, Mayor? If the descriptive word your students get away from your
Goofy?
is goofy, yeah. Isn't that a fail? Haven't you?
I would think the Christian Brothers would look at it that way. whether the defensive coach who lies and makes believe he's the head coach who runs the gay club and takes people to China in the gay club and
gets drunk and goes 40 over on the roads. Remember that?
yeah, and can't seem to figure out how to drive without getting drunk. Sounds like the typical liberal Democrat scumbucket.
Teddy Kennedy.
Well,
Drinking and driving. Sorry, I thought of our conversation earlier today.
how many murders have the Democrats covered up? I'm going to give you a couple. Mary Jo Kopechne, right? We don't know what happened. I know what happened. It was a vehicular homicide. Now, hers is easy. That's the case where Teddy Kennedy got away with murder. I remember telling John McCain once, who tried to urge me to run for the Senate, I don't like to sit in a body with murderers. He said, who? I said, Teddy. Teddy is guilty of vehicular homicide. There's no question he was drunk as a skunk. He put her in the car. He drove her over the bridge and he couldn't get her out. That's vehicular homicide. You don't get away with things because you're drunk. You don't get to kill people because you're drunk. Well, a Kennedy does, but not a normal person. I guess a Clinton does too.
Very sad. Very sad.
Very
story.
sad. It's murder. I don't know, Vince Foster. What do you think? Think that was a murder? A lot of people think that one was a murder. That's a Clinton. That
A
was
suspicious death. Yes.
Seth Rich.
Seth Rich. Oh, thank you, Mayor, for bringing that one up. That's one that I covered when I worked
It
here.
happened. I thought it was a murder.
Yeah, same. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I went there and I worked for the Daily Caller. I was hired by Tucker Carlson.
Prosecutor Rudy.
Well, I love that I was there, that I was thinking like the most famous prosecutor. That thing, there's something
But
there.
he's the one with the right.
DNC, all the information, the emails, the Clinton emails, all that. This guy dies. They say it's a robbery. He's got this nice watch on his. They didn't take the watch. They didn't take his wallet. So they said, "Oh, it was a robbery that went bad." And then when he tried to, yeah,
you know, even after James Cardinal Comey, even after James Cardinal Comey dishonestly fixed that case, there was a double jeopardy. You could have prosecuted her.
Who? Hillary?
Hillary.
Yeah.
That didn't get her off. She didn't have a jury trial.
Yeah.
I could have prosecuted her. And this guy, Seth Rich, could have been my chief witness.
Yeah.
Except,
well, yeah, you couldn't, but
except like Epstein.
He was Epstein.
He killed himself.
Yeah.
Now, Epstein, I have a hard time with because I know the jail cell he was in, and I can't figure out it isn't high enough to kill yourself. Plus, I don't get how all the cameras go out.
Yeah.
The most famous. I am at an advantage here. I know that prison. So there's there are a group of cameras. There's a camera, that cell, which is first of all, they took him out of the suicide watch cell. Like, okay, let's put him someplace where he can commit suicide. Kind of like Trump. You know, let's take the guy away from the place where they can shoot him. So let's put him in a place where he can commit suicide. We don't have to do it, but somebody will do it for us. He'll do it. Let's put him in the place where he can commit suicide so nobody sees. All the cameras are down. Now, wait a second. And they don't know it? As I remember that prison, and I'm not being funny here, I remember it cold. There's a central station. You're going to know this from television, movies, or if you've ever been in prison. Right? There's a whole big bunch of cameras in front of you, like at an apartment building. There's a guy standing there, and he's looking at all the cameras. Now, several cameras were out. How long were they out? Didn't the guy notice on all the cameras in front of him, there were a couple where the screen was black? Okay, let's say there were 10 cameras in front of it. There are more, but let's say there were 10. 3 were out for 6 hours, 2 shifts. Well, everybody drunk that night? Barr send over, or Barr's father, if still alive, who possibly hired Epstein. Barr never recused himself from the Epstein case, even though he had a law firm conflict and a conflict with his father. And Barr announced that everything was regular. And Epstein knew all the little pedophiles on Pedophile Island, right? How many times with Bill Clinton? 27. A lot of times to miss the little girls, Billy. They're a pretty observant guy. I hate to think of you as a pedophile, but now, given the stuff that your vice presidential candidate's doing for pedophiles, I don't know. You guys seem to have a weakness in that regard.
Yeah, like where's the political? Who's saying we got to like ease up on pedophiles? Where's the political? Like these guys are just doing that? Like it's weird.
Well, they
weird.
reduced the penalties for pedophiles in California, and they have created under Tampon Timmy, they have created a category of protection for pedophiles from discrimination. This guy is carrying through on his promise as the head of the Gay Association back in 1990, when he was not a head football coach that he lied about, but the defensive coordinator. He's following through on protecting all of these gender things. Okay, but pedophilia is not some kind of gender thing. It's a damn dastardly crime. Where's this softness for them, Timmy Two Shoes? Come on. What's this crap that they can get protection? What are you talking about, protection? For pedophiles? Lower sentences like in California? What's wrong with you?
People are nuts. There's something that's crazy.
But in any event, then we got the one murder that nobody wants to look at all. Ashley Babbitt. If there was ever a first-degree murder, that's a first-degree murder. I'm not going to even go over the details of it. Unarmed, female, 5'2". He had arms. He had backup on both sides. I don't know, about a dozen. A couple of them in looked to me like Gestapo gear. His police gave him access to barging in. It was almost like a setup. His cops moved back, let them push the thing in while they watch him. She gets lofted up, put right in target zone, and the guy knows exactly where to shoot and kills him. Then we don't reveal him for months. We still haven't put out the report. He lied about any number of things. And there's been no investigation by any independent group. I checked with my police commissioner, and we never close murder cases in New York. I wonder if they do that in crooked places. But it looks like another, possible Democrat murder. And then we have Donald J. Trump, in which if it wasn't a deliberate attempt on his life, they sure did a heck of a pretense that it was. They have created every reason to believe that they put his life in jeopardy on purpose, or that they are the dumbest, stupidest sons of bitches that ever lived. And if you don't prove the negative here, you're going to have a conspiracy theory that's the biggest in American history. By the time it keeps going, you got every day a new thing comes out. Every day there's a new revelation. I don't know. Maybe they really are that incompetent. Maybe they are. Maybe things have changed that much. Maybe when you become as corrupt as they have, as politicized as they have, and I'm not discounting this, you become incompetent also. But whatever is wrong with the federal law enforcement agencies is much more serious than we ever thought. It requires ousting the people running it or not running it, because she doesn't run anything. It means keeping out people who create riots, like Tampon Tim. So,
Well,
you got the most important election in your history, for sure. You got a trail of murder here. I'm not going to say you do, but I am going to say you can't exclude it. And I'm not prepared to say that what happened to Donald Trump was negligence.
yeah.
I don't see any basis on which I can come to that conclusion, that it was negligence, other than you would like it to be that way. And I can't see any basis on which I could come to the conclusion. Are we showing Jackass right now?
No, but I will in a second, but we have some breaking news. I know we're well into soccer time, but House Republicans are launching a probe into Tim Walz's relationship with China. They must be watching this program.
Well, they are.
I'm shocked by that. I'm not shocked. I'm surprised that they're.
I'm not shocked by it. His relationship with China is so close that the guy is, without any doubt, an operative of China.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. There's no question about it. You don't say the things he says unless you're spewing communist propaganda. And not only that, I think when you open up on Tim Walz, it's going to get a lot worse.
I'm pleasantly surprised.
And what did I tell you a couple of days ago? That he might not be on the ballot.
Yeah. I'm pleasantly surprised that our House GOP are willing to, do this, because this will be.
If China can get away with this, we're done. They already bought a president. Now they're going to have put a trained operative in.
And it's almost as if they were going to do this right in front of us, right? They weren't even hiding it anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to have a guy who visited China 30 times. So
what do you want to bet he's not on the ticket?
See, I'm not mayor. You're too good at this.
When did I tell you this? 2 days ago, right?
More, you may have said this weeks ago.
No, not weeks ago.
No, you did. It was more than, this was before 2 days ago. You did. And I thought at the time, mayor, I don't know about that.
It's the 30 trips to China. It's a giveaway.
Yeah.
What do you got to be? You got to be an old communist investigator to figure that one out. They don't take you 30 times. And you don't end up saying you like China unless you're a communist.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They don't make it likable unless you come away a communist.
Right.
It's a very unpleasant place.
Right. If they wouldn't treat us.
If you went to China, Teddy, even if they didn't think you knew me, it'd be an unpleasant place. Dr. Maria, they would hate you. Tim, they would treat you like crap.
Just the idea of a high school social studies teacher in some small town in Minnesota.
And you got every marking here. Harvard.
That's the program, yeah.
Harvard.
And the fact that he's not just going, he's bringing students.
I'm surprised he wasn't part of the Penn Biden program.
So you wonder if they knew about these connections and still picked him because something more nefarious is going on. That's what I'm starting to wonder.
Could be.
We got to find out more of the people around these people that are making these decisions, right? Because it's obviously not Joe Biden, and it hasn't been for years. It ain't going to be Kamala. And it ain't going to be this goofy Tim Walz communist spy. We have to find out who is behind this. There are people that are literally trying to destroy this country from within, and they're on the verge of.
We got a big research weekend coming up. We got a big trip coming up.
Oh, next week you're going to want to be tuning in.
We're going to be in the most dangerous city in the country. Only on weekends, though, so we're going to get there. But we'll get there before the.
We're going to get. Well, next week's going to be 1968 all over again. It's going to be Chicago 1968.
I think 1968 is going to look like fairyland.
Oh, wow. Even worse.
Oh, yeah. These guys are.
And they've been planning for over a year. And they're not giving up just because Shapiro's not on the ticket.
4th of July, 100 assaults 19 murders. Okay. Pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Chicago, including the people who show up for the convention, Democrats and Republicans all. Okay? We don't want anybody to get hurt. We're not
like that.
we're not
We're not like them.
Democrats. We don't want to see anybody hurt. We don't need any of that crap. And pray for our friends in Israel who may be escaping it for now. We're going to see. And of course, God bless the greatest country on earth, the United States of America.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are